Okay. There are differing invoice types within Eve, and you'll want to know when to use each one and the appropriate methods and means by which to do so. So first of all, if we go to the data module, you will see those invoice types in the invoice types section. So if we go to find, there is a list of the invoice types that are within Eve. You will not, because these are so central to the core of the program, be able to add to these invoice types. You can, however, and I'm just going to open sales receipt to show you, change the spelling of these to fit more closely with your local environment. I would suggest that if you do so, you leave, however, as a shortcut, perhaps with, in this case, SR in brackets, so that you know the original invoice type that this was. You'll note on this invoice type form that there are various checkboxes you may wish to go through to make sure that each invoice type is doing exactly what you want it to do within Eve. So for example here, do you want a sales receipt to show as a sale? I would have thought your answer is yes, so click this button here. This will be the default, but this is how you can check it. Certain sales types, should you be using QuickBooks, will also export to. So if you want that exported to QuickBooks, make sure this box is checked. The update stock levels means that when an item is placed on a sales receipt, say a crew pack, a pick, a set of fins, do you want Eve to update stock levels when sales receipt is used? Do you want Eve to show if there is a change or an outstanding amount on that printed receipt when it is used? If you do, keep this box checked. If you don't, uncheck it, as you see here. And for whatever that text you might like to show, you can enter it in there if you want to change the default within Eve. You will also see here that within any particular invoice type within Eve, when you use it in a shopping basket, you can have showing unpaid invoices, payments, paid invoices, and so on. And would you like those tabs to be displayed? And go through each of your invoice types using this next record functionality here. I'm not going to save those ones I made for sales receipt there. And you'll see that for the next one of an invoice, which in Eve terms, if you like, is somewhat similar to the invoices you will receive from suppliers, i.e. something for later payment. So if you have certain of your customers who, when they buy goods from you, you send an invoice that they then pay later, that is the invoice type to use, this invoice type. Again, do you want to show this as a sale right now? If you do, leave as so. Do you want to export to QuickBooks? Probably not, as that would be more likely when this is finally converted to a sales receipt. What do you want to happen with stock levels, and so on. The next of an ongoing invoice, most commonly used in a resort environment, where a customer may, for example, simply keep adding another day's diving, another hire of a torch for a night dive, third dive of the day, perhaps some drinks, and so on, to their invoice, a course they choose to do with you during their week with you. This ongoing invoice is another of your invoice types, and again work down through, and perhaps the key one here is when an ongoing invoice has been fully paid for, do you want to see the show convert to sales receipt prompt? And I would suggest you probably want to make sure that is checked, and that will be a reminder that when, for example, $500 or pounds or euros, etc. has been placed on an ongoing invoice, and then the customer has paid that full $500, that Eve will then prompt you to say, now that that ongoing invoice is fully paid, you want to convert that to a sales receipt, which closes this ongoing invoice. And when that is closed, do you want Eve to update those reporting dates when converted to a sales receipt, or do you want to leave the original dates of each of the line items as it was placed on this ongoing invoice? Choices again are yours, obviously in conjunction with your accountant or whoever it is that helps you with your financial affairs. The next invoice type of layaway is there for you. Again, make the decisions as to what you want to have showing as a sale, how you want it exported, updating of stock levels, conversion as you see fit. You can also record expenses within Eve. Expenses obviously perhaps fuel for the boat, you've had to buy some oil for the compressor, something perhaps as simple as coffee for the store or for the classroom, etc. You can enter those into Eve as you see fit. Now clearly if there are some invoice types that you don't wish to use, one of the boxes just to make you aware of if you don't want to record expenses within Eve. Let me remind you these are not to do with purchase orders but simple day-to-day ad hoc expenses. You could mark such things as unavailable. So go through your invoice types and make sure you have these set as you wish, and that area is within the data module and invoice types find. So data, invoice types find will open up those, double click to open, and make sure you have Eve recording your sales reporting and being able to export as you wish.